You're listening to Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. For more information, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at SBTSongs or check us out at chrisblair.com. This week, we're back here on Music Row at Smack Publishing, and I get to sit down with Jenna Davis. You may know her from her YouTube channel and her acting career with Raven's Home and the movie Megan. She also has Megan 2.0 coming out this summer. We're going to dive into all of that, but we're diving in mainly on her music career and what she's done here in the music industry, becoming the flagship artist with Smack. Some songs that she put out on her EP. We're going to dive into the stories behind those and talk about her debut album that's coming out this summer at the same time that Megan 2.0, the movie, comes out. This was a great episode. Let's get to it. Here is Jenna Davis. Welcome back. We're here, Jenna Davis in the house over on Music Row. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to kind of dive into your story. I want to obviously dive into stories behind the songs of what this podcast is all about.
Absolutely.
But I think it's really cool. I want to just, I always kind of start from the beginning, and you've got a really amazing childhood in the entertainment business, but outside of music. So let's just kind of start. You're from Texas.
Yes.
Well, at least you were born in Texas.
Correct.
And then you've got a story of moving around. So take us into that and what childhood was like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born and raised in Plano, Texas. And I born in Plano, lived in Frisco. And when I was 4, my dad's job got transferred to Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we moved there. Oh, and that was a transition. I was only 4, but from the warmth of Texas to the cold of Minnesota is quite a change. But I would say most of my childhood was there. I lived there until I was around 10, and that's when I started diving into musical theater. And I fell in love with musical theater through actually my mom. She was a voice and piano coach. So when I was younger, I had always grown up around music because of my mom, but she did classical music, so very different than country, but she introduced me to all genres as a kid. So I was howling the backseat of her car from anything to Patsy Cline to Dolly Parton. She introduced me to everything. So I give all the credit for sure to my mama. But yeah, I started pursuing musical theater, fell in love with that, started off with community theater, and Minneapolis actually has a fantastic professional theater program. And so I got involved in that and started doing that in 4th and 5th grade and fell in love with it. And I was getting told at the time, "Oh, you're a very good actress." And my mom was like, "She's good at acting? We didn't know that." And after that, I told my mom that I wanted to be on Disney Channel. And that was my biggest goal in middle school. And so when I was in the middle of my 5th grade, we started actually going out to Los Angeles. My mom found a manager off of Facebook, which is probably not the way to do it now, but in that day, it actually worked out.
Yeah.
And, we met the manager and she said, "Hey, I think you should come out to LA for pilot season." I was 10, turning 11 at the time. And I did a few short films and small feature films in Minneapolis, but I knew that staying there really wasn't going to take me to Disney Channel or take me to the bigger things that I wanted to pursue. So my parents, during my 5th grade year, said, "Okay, we'll give you 6 weeks. We'll go out to LA and we'll go for pilot season," which is around 6 weeks. And my dad said, "If you get far, we'll extend your stay or consider going back." My dad is very analytical. He's like a businessman. So this was all had to be strategic and a plan. And so during my 5th grade year, that's what we did. We went out and I got a few callbacks, but 6 weeks in the grand scheme of things is not really enough time.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know. We were so novice and young, and I didn't really know how much the industry worked and how much it's a marathon, not a race. And typically you're not going to book something in the first 6 weeks of pursuing this career. So in that time, my manager was encouraging us, "Hey, well, she's getting far. She's moving forward on projects, and that's a really good sign of getting a booking very soon." So we went back to Minnesota. I finished up my 5th grade year, and then in 6th grade, our family decided that we're going to make a move out there. So my dad actually remained in Minneapolis because his headquarters of his job was out there. And he would come in every Friday and would leave every Sunday. So he would see us for...
Wow.
It was a huge sacrifice for my family. I'm an only child, so I definitely think that made it easier. Because if I would have had siblings, I think it would have complicated things a lot more.
Yeah.
But just even for our family being used to seeing each other 24/7 from only being able to see each other on the weekends was a huge sacrifice. And I really give all the credit to my parents because I could not have done this without them and their sacrifice and their support. So it was kind of a crazy journey. And we pretty much stayed out there. My dad said, hey, if you have success, we'll extend your stay. And we ended up being out there for, I think, over nine years. And I still have a place out there. But my family is now residing in Nashville. But I can get into that. That's a whole other story later. But yeah, we started really just at that time, how I got into music was pretty much my mom was noticing that Instagram was becoming very popular at that time. And this is when I was 11. And we thought, okay, well, if I ever wanted to pursue a career in music, the only way that I could pursue a career is having an audience that would listen to your music. But at that time, I was 11 and I hadn't started writing music yet, but I just loved singing. So what we would do is take the biggest songs and I would do covers of them. So we would go into my parking garage of my apartment complex and we would sing probably 3 to 4 covers a week. We would post them to my Instagram, and that's kind of how I started to gain a following, is because I knew that releasing music at 11, nobody was going to take me seriously. But if we started to kind of build that audience and at least familiarize people with my voice and my instrument, maybe down the road, as I've gotten older, they would stick around and, you know, listen to my original music when that time would come. So that's kind of how we started integrating music into my life at a young age, meanwhile pursuing acting, because I like to present myself kind of like a stool like this. I have 3 little legs. I have acting, music, and social media. So I'm always working on all of them at the same time because they're each going to fuel and heighten one another. It's just different opportunities are going to come from each of them. Because I've always been told, you know, you don't have to put yourself in a box. You don't have to choose one. And I think forever, a lot of the industry was like, hey, if you're going to choose something, you have to choose one and go full steam. And I'm like, why not? You can be like a little 3-legged stool and just keep working on everything. Because it's just going to keep fueling you. And I think in this industry, if you focus on one thing for too long, I don't think it can be the best for your mental health. I think it's important to always be, at least for me, to always be busy in something and to continue to fuel my other passions, because when you're an actor, it's like the only thing that you are relying on is waiting for that email for that audition to come in. But now, because I have so many other things that I'm focused on, when the audition comes in or the opportunity comes in, it's an extra candle on the cake versus something that I'm hyper fixating about. And that's why I always encourage my friends who are either solely doing music or solely doing acting, make sure you have another hobby that you are incorporating in your life so it doesn't become hard or difficult when maybe one iron is not so hot.
I think you're lying about your age. You're not 20. You have so much intelligence about how everything works in the business, and it's just amazing.
Thank you. I think it's just, you know, they say when you're in the industry, you kind of grow up fast. And I think I definitely have. I mean, I've already been doing acting since I was 10 and I am 20. So it's like, whoa, I've been doing this for 10 years already. It makes me feel very old. But then I have to sit back and remind myself that most kids my age are in college still trying to figure it out. So it's okay.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the early days of acting. Raven's Home. Let's talk about that. You got your dream of being on Disney.
I did.
And then Megan 2.0, which is going to be coming out a little bit later. So how was it for you as a 10-year-old diving in and doing that?
You know, it was a lot of learning. I think you learn the most when you're actually doing it. You can go to so many acting classes, you can do all the prep in the world, but what you're going to really just take in is when you're on the set. And so for me, I started auditioning and I would book a few things, like a co-star here and there. And like those are all great because they built me up to the bigger parts. And I think it's vital for any actor to have those experiences. But you learn the most when the cameras are going and when the director is telling you, hey, this is what you need to do. And I feel like that's where I grew the most as an actor, is like just being on set for Raven's Home. And what people don't know is like a Disney set is literally, it's not cutthroat, but it's kind of cutthroat because everything is comedy. And if your line's not funny, they will cut your line. It's kind of like a comedy show. It's very, and you have to be on your A game all the time. And I just have so much respect for anybody in the acting community that is on like a multicam like that, because you have to be on. It is like a theater production. Yeah. And because it's comedy and because the airtime is so short, everything has to be funny and everything has to hit. And if it doesn't, your lines are cut. Wow. And it's such a wild experience. But for me, being on Disney I had such an amazing experience. It was my dream ever since I was little. So of course, just that alone, just saying that you were on Disney is such a cool experience. Yeah. But I was on Raven's Home, as you mentioned, and that cast was incredible. Raven Simone was incredible. She was also an executive producer on the show. So her opinion mattered a lot. And she was very, very encouraging, but also she knew what she wanted. And I always say, even just as an artist, when you know what you want, it makes everybody's life easier. Especially for me as an actor, when I'm working on a set, if the director and producers know exactly what they want or they want me to do, it's going to be easier for me to give them what they want. If the director doesn't know what they want, how am I supposed to know what they want? Yeah. You know, I kind of have to guess. And that's when, you know, I'm in the process of auditioning, I kind of have to guess what they want. And so when I was auditioning for Megan and I got the brief for that, it said AI robot. So when I got that, I thought, okay, well, this is an AI robot. I could do this very stagnant, like Siri or Alexa. But when I read the dialogue, I noticed that she had a lot of personality. So I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make a choice and I'm going to stand out. And once I got the call that I booked the role, what the director told me is he said, you stood out because everybody did it like Siri and Amazon, like Amazon Alexa. That's what everybody did it like. And so it's those choices that I think I've learned throughout the years and just like being on sets and learning from so many other creatives where I've learned the most, but also have grown. And I'm very grateful to have had those experiences so young because I think they've shaped me to who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, you know, I mean, you see Lainey, Jelly, like there's so many people in our music industry world that are doing that now. So I think, I mean, you know, again, just at the young age and the experience that you have, it's just amazing that you can just naturally keep doing it.
Thank you.
Then now tie your music into it. So I want to kind of just go towards that. Like, how was it like? So then you're navigating, going back and forth from LA to Nashville.
I started doing that when I was around 15. We started coming out here because I knew country music was always where I wanted to go. A fun fact, my family, I'm related to Gene Autry, who's like the country sing cowboy. Not a lot of people know that, but it's a fun little fact I'd like to throw in ever so often. And so I think because of me being in LA, people sometimes claim that I'm not country. And I'm like, well, I was born in Texas. I've listened to country music my whole life and I'm related to Gene Autry. I'm like, I don't really know how much more Southern that gets. And so with that, I think when it comes to music, I always knew country music was where I wanted to be because of the songs. It's always been about the songs. It's been about the stories. I mean, that's literally what the listening room is quite frankly about. And so when I started coming out here and I started diving into not only just Music Row, but just the writing community, there is nothing like it. I tell people like that are artists, I'm like, if you have just come and experience the passion for music, even just down this street, it's undeniable. It is undeniable because it's always been about the songs here. And I didn't really fully understand that and didn't really understand the passion until you're sitting in the room across from other people that love music and love writing music just as much as you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a wild thing. I'm like, you don't find it anywhere else. You really don't. I mean, there's pockets of LA and New York, of course, and Europe and everything, but there's something really special and timeless, I feel, about Music Row.
And it's not just country. I think that's the cool thing is like, you know, there's just a mix of like the best talent in the music industry in the world lives right here in the city.
Yes.
And yeah, it's so okay. So you're 15. You're balancing going back from LA to here. You've already grown multi-million person following off of your roles, in Raven and all of those, and then also the social media posts that you're doing and all of that. So then, how do you start to juggle both of those worlds? Or do you? Was it just like the stool kind of thing? Like, okay, this is just another thing that I'm doing. Did you think about like, okay, now I've got to put my actor hat on, or now I'm in the music world, I've got to put that music hat on.
Sure.
Did any of that happen for you?
So at the time that I got signed, so I started coming out here when I was 15, and Smack started kind of integrating me into their community when I was around 17. And at that time, the acting industry was having quite a bit of a change. We've gone through, COVID was a really hard run. I mean, for everyone, but for the acting industry as well. And then shortly after, we had the writer's strike, which it killed the industry for a very long time. And prior to COVID, everybody would have to go in room for auditions. Now everything is a self-tape. So most of the auditions that I receive are things that I'm taping at my house in front of a blue sheet. And if you move further, you experience Zooms. Like I just had a chemistry read on Zoom like not too long ago, and everything is virtual now, which is a blessing and a curse. I love human interaction, and I'm very thankful that prior to COVID, I was able to form the relationships that I did with casting directors prior, because I got to physically meet them. But because of music and because of travel and because of how much I do of that, it has been a blessing for me, because I've been able to do an audition. I taped one last night. Like I could do it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think it's also opened up the industry for a lot of people who maybe can't afford to move to California, or didn't think the industry was possible, that you can do it really from anywhere now, because everything's a tape. Because after the actor strike and prior to COVID, they realized, casting offices and studios, they're realizing that they could save a lot more money on renting space, and casting can just watch it from home. Casting can be with their families. It changed a lot for the industry. So I think in that regard, it made my life a little bit easier on the music front, because I could come out here, I can write, I can do all the things I need to do, record, play shows, do what I need to do, and then go home and tape an audition at night. It provided a lot more flexibility. If the industry would have been still going in room for every audition, that would have been a lot more challenging.
Yeah.
And I do fly between the two a lot. I always say I don't think I live in either place. I'm kind of bi-coastal. I bounce wherever they need me, I'm there.
Yeah.
And so it's provided a lot more flexibility with that, but it has changed a lot. So I don't think it's been too much of a juggle, but there is stances in time where my team's like, hey, we need you here. And I'm like, oh, wait, here, I need you here. But the good thing about acting is everything is kind of planned in advance, and you can always book yourself out in the worst case. And my team here, especially at Smack, has been super duper flexible and accommodating with things. And the nice thing about rights is you can kind of plan those in advance. So I'm definitely a huge planner. I'm on my Google Calendar probably more than any human alive. But I would say it is a juggle, but there has been, I think, different things that just because the industry has changed, it's been able to kind of work in my favor in some weird way.
I love that. Okay, let's talk about Smack a little bit. We've done a few of these episodes here. Shane McAnally has been amazing to the industry. He's been playing the listening room for years and years. I don't remember. I need to go back and see when his first show was. Probably about 2008-ish, something like that. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk about what it was like. You were the flagship artist to get signed to Smack, which is amazing.
Thank you.
And then I've got a couple songs I want to dive into. So yeah, just how did you meet Shane, and what led to the decision to like, hey, Jenna, you're going to be our first artist that we sign?
Absolutely. So I, as I mentioned, started coming out here pretty young. And the first person that I met through Smack was actually my now manager, Marissa Turk. And she met me when I was 17. We met through a mutual friend. And I remember stepping into these doors and just seeing all the plaques everywhere and just walking in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where am I? This is insane. And Marissa had been keeping her eye on me, but it was at the time when Walker, because she also represents Walker Hayes, when Fancy Like was taking off, and it was just one of the biggest songs in the world.
Yeah.
And so I knew at that time they were just basically taking every opportunity they could for Walker and just blowing him up even more. And so at that time, she sat down and told me, look, Jenna, I think you're very talented. I want to keep my eye on you. I want to keep you integrated in this town and kind of introduce you to our writers. But right now, with Walker's success, I don't think it would be fair of me to take you on because I couldn't give you 100% of my time and energy, which I really respected. And so during that time, I kind of got integrated. I got to meet a lot of the Smack writers. I got to meet Robert Carlton and Jeremy Groves and really got to meet everybody here. And this team is a family. There's no one like it. It is such a family and such a good group of people. I cannot speak more highly of what Shane has not only created, but the people that he's brought into these doors to represent this company. It's truly such a gift, and I feel so grateful. So my introduction was through Marissa, and I actually did not meet Shane until after we signed.
Yeah.
We were sending songs, and he would always give his commentary, and here I am just in awe of everything that he's done. And I did not have the chance to meet him until I was actually on his podcast with Jenna, and that was the first time we had actually met. But the way that he spoke about me and my artistry, and the way that even through not even have met each other, to feel the connection and to feel the passion and just the love for music and just the belief he had in me is like still a pinch me moment. I'm like, am I dreaming?
Yeah.
What's going on? So ironically, it's weird. We never met until after I signed, but just I could tell who he was as a person.
Yeah.
And I could tell that everybody, I mean, you are who you surround yourself with, and every single person in these doors, from the writers to the team to the interns, are the best people.
Yeah.
And so I could just tell through that I'm in really good hands, and I don't really know how I got here.
Yeah.
Like, I know how I got here because I worked really hard, but it's a blessing, and I just feel so grateful that they believed in me. And for just the whole label thing, that coming about too, it was like I met with Marissa, and she's like, I want to sign you for management, but we also want to discuss label. And I'm like, huh? So it was all just one thing after the other that kind of took off, and here we are.
Yeah. Gosh, so cool. What do you think you've learned the most being in rooms with other writers here at Smack?
I think I've learned that sometimes an idea that you start with can lead you to another. Like everything leads to another.
Yeah.
I think when, you're writing by yourself, you're so fixated maybe on one topic or one idea. And when you come into the room and you bring something in, it's kind of like a trampoline, and we're all jumping on the trampoline. And sometimes we double bounce one another to get to something even better. And, when you're by yourself, you don't have anybody else to bounce off of. And here it's like the best thing ever to co-write with other people, because you're taking all of their experiences, all of their knowledge, all of their talent, and you guys are just basically double bouncing on this trampoline and feeding off one another. And I think I learned that something that you start with, or one idea that you start with, is only the launching pad for what's possible in the room.
I love that analogy. So cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been so fun. I think co-writing is one of the best things ever. And especially when you create a relationship with writers, and you're kind of at first, at least what Smack told me, is like, Jenna, you're going to date around in town. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? They're like, you're going to get familiar with people, see who you vibe with, see who gets you as an artist.
Yeah.
And that has also been a lot of discovery, and it's been so fun. And it's so cool when you meet another writer and you guys they have this phrase in Hotel Transylvania called zing. And that's what it's like. It's like you zing, you just get it. And you can't describe it. But everybody in this town, I mean, you look at a lot of artists, and why they write with the same writers most of the time is because they zing, they get it.
Yeah.
And that's not something you can force. It just happens. It's really cool.
I think I give advice to new writers that come to town. That's just that. Get out and write with everybody and anybody that you can every single day. And make sure that you're doing it with different writers every day until you find that click. And so do you have this core group of people that you just love to write with?
I do. I've found like a great group of people that I just love working with. But I told Jeremy here at Smack, I said, throw me into different things too. The only way I'm going to get better at not only writing, but also just learning from others and taking things in is being in the room. And so as much as I love writing with my core people, because they know me, they know what's gone in my life, they're kind of like my little therapist in some way, because we just talk about things in life. It's really cool. I mean, I did a write last week with 2 writers, and I'd never worked with them before, and we just hit it off. We just hit it off, and I was like, okay, great. I feel like they're coming into my wolf pack.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have like a little wolf pack. You're like, these are my people, and you're like, I'm adding you guys to the pack because you just get it. But you can't force it. And also something that I learned too is just because another artist zings with other writers doesn't mean you're going to zing with them. That's not a bad thing.
Sure.
You know, I think there's some people that I've written with, I'm like, oh, I really think this is going to go. And I'm like, no, they just didn't get me as an artist, but that doesn't mean they're a bad writer. It just means that our visions are different. And I think that's something too in town that everybody's going to notice. And when you find your people, it's like even people that you didn't even expect to even work. You don't even know. It's just an energy, and it's just a presence, and it's just, you get a song, and sometimes you're leaving the session, you're like, I don't know how that went. And you get it back and you're like, okay, I'm cutting this. I did not expect that. It's just this unexpected weird, it is kind of like dating. Yeah. In some ways. Yeah. It's all chemistry, but not that type of chemistry. It's like creative chemistry.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's dive into your debut EP, Psych.
Yes.
So talk to me about how the whole project came together.
Absolutely. So the first song that we actually wrote for it was Psych. Yeah. And I had that title in the notes of my phone for the longest time. I love titles that you don't hear. My goal is to always release titles that have not been out there. But that's the hardest thing to ever do as an artist.
Yeah, it's tough.
And the more that you do it, you know, it's going to be impossible because there's so many amazing creatives and whatnot. There's always going to be something that's been written. But I love the phrase, you know, when people just talk and they go, psych. And that's where I got the title from. I heard it one day and people were saying it. I was like, oh, that would be a cool, sassy song. And so I brought it into the room, and it just, again, it was like a zing moment with all the writers. It was Jared Scott, Sam Martinez, and Zach Dyer. And we were over at Warner Chapel, and we were just sitting down, and I was like, I have this really weird title. It's called Psych. And they're like, that's cool. And then Sam started laying down some boom, and we were like, yes, that's where we want to go. And it just kind of came out. It was like word vomit. It just came out. And I played Smack that song, and that was the first song that universally everybody was like, yes. Because I always want to get their opinions. And that was the first song that they told me that everybody liked and everybody in the office liked. And I said, okay, well, I think that's a sign. But at first I wasn't sure because releasing a project, everything has to be cohesive. Yeah. And everything kind of has to go together. And I feel like that was the most edgy song that I'd ever written thus far. And so I wanted to make sure that the rest of the project didn't lean too edgy because I'm not an edgy human. And I want to make sure that anything that I say as an artist is authentic because I feel like my audience can read through that really quickly. 100%. And so that was, I knew, the edgiest song that I wanted to go with. And then we started writing other songs. I had a title called 6 Foot Nothing. And we also brought that in. I had the first lyrics is like 6'2" is pretty cute, but he had an attitude. And I brought it into my producer, Chris Raffetto. We still work together. He's working on my upcoming album as well. And I brought it in. We were with Emily Hackett. And I told him I want to write a song about my failed situationships. And I want to write about the different guys that I've experienced that just haven't gone well because I'm still ending up with 6 foot nothing. I've got no one and nothing, and I want to write a song about it, and I want it to be comical and witty. I think one of my biggest songwriting inspirations is Shania Twain. I think her wit of her lyrics is unmatched. It is so clever. It is so well done, and it's so fun. And I think that was for 6 Foot Nothing, I wanted to create lyrics that were weird. I mean, we talk about Uber drivers in 6 Foot Nothing. It's very weird. Like, we have like the weirdest little things that we flow in there, but it's going to be my favorite thing to sing live because other people are going to be singing it too. And
it's such a fun song.
Thank you. It's very fun, and it's silly, and it's goofy, and it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
I think the best thing as an artist is to release a song that makes people feel something, whether that is a laugh or a cry. It's just the best thing to like make people laugh and throw people off with your lyrics. I love doing that. And that's when FBI came about. I had the title FBI written in my notes because forever on my TikTok For You page, I was seeing girls talking about how they were like the FBI because they were finding out about their crush's information. And I thought, well, I do that. I mean, I'm not a stalker, but I do like to know. I feel like everybody in our generation now with social media, we're always looking about what other people are doing and trying to find out more information. I mean, everybody claims that they're not, but everybody's looking. It just is what it is. We all are. We all are our own little stalkers these days. And so I brought in FBI and I was like, I want to write a song about how girls stalk guys on Instagram. And everybody was like, what? And I was like, this is what I want to do. I have a passion for it. It's going to be weird. It's going to be comical. It's going to be probably throw some people off. And once we released it, it sure did. The guys were all arguing. The girls were all arguing. My comment section was pretty much like a big debate class, and I loved it. It was the best thing ever because it got people talking. And that's what I love to do with my music is really throw people off. And people are like, she's a stalker. I'm like, I'm not a stalker. I'm just saying the truth because everybody does. If you like somebody, you're going to go look at their tagged page. You're going to look at their following. You're going to look. Some people go as far as Zillow.com, and I put that in the song because people were like, I found my boyfriend's house on Zillow.com, like his first shot at home. I was like, I'm putting that in the song. I took these different examples I took from my own life experiences and I put them in the song and it resonated. Some people were really thrown off about it, but other girls were using the sound and I'm like, I do this too. And that's what I love is like creating things that are relatable and quirky and different because that's how you're going to stand out as an artist. At least that's what I try to do is like try to find ways to make my songs different than other people because my mom always says, if you're going to be an artist, you have to be an artist. And that's about being unique and not trying to copy anybody else because they already have Lainey Wilson. They already have Megan Maroney. They already have Carrie Underwood. We already have all these fantastic female artists. If you're going to try to go chase in their steps, you'll never succeed because they're already killing it at their own craft. You have to find where you're going to make your own blueprint and make your own imprint. And I think that's what I'm trying to do is just squeeze in and find my little space in there and who Jenna is.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of exploration, especially at 20.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job though. I mean, when I first heard you, we were talking before we started. When did you play your first show ever in Nashville was at the listening room,
oh my
which
gosh,
is so
I was
cool.
so nervous. I remember because I walked in and I was like, oh my goodness, this is insane. This is like an iconic venue in town. I had already been making sure I went to rounds and see that. I also just like when people come in town, I genuinely take them to the listening room because I think it's one of the best ways to show people what Nashville is like. Because not a lot of people in the outside public that don't have anything to do with music know how this town operates.
Yeah.
They don't know. And when you take them to the listening room, you can kind of show people this is how it works. And everybody's like, what? I didn't know. And I remember even the last time that I was at the listening room, there was a song by Lydia Vaughn and I listened to it and I texted Jeremy and I said, it was called Weatherman. And I listened to it and I said, I want to cut this song. It's already on hold for Maestas, so it is what it is. A little slightly salty about it, but it's okay. But it's just moments like that where even as an artist, it's beneficial to go to y'all's shows because you can find a song that you want to cut, even though it's on hold for somebody else. I'm still so mad about it, but it's okay. You still got to hear it. And it's just great songs like that you can hear the stories. And I think it's also enabled me as an artist to even consider outside cuts. At first, I was like kind of hesitant, but now I'm noticing that there's so much talent in this town and there's so many songs that never get to be heard or even just released out into the world because they're like bashed in somebody's catalog. And it's so cool as an artist when you can hear a song that resonates with you and that the writers are even considering you to cut it. I feel like that's just like the biggest honor for me is like there's not enough credit given to songwriters in this town. I really don't think there is. And so when you as an artist can experience a song that somebody else written that's like a literal hit and that's just like bashed into their catalog, it's a really cool feeling to at least hear that and even get the chance to. I think more artists should consider even just hearing outside cuts, because there's so much great stuff out there.
There really is. It's my favorite thing about the listening room. Started almost 20 years ago. And I mean, just this weekend, I had a moment where Saturday mornings, we typically we turn on CMT and we just listen to music, and my kids love to watch the videos, and we fix breakfast, and that's just kind of our Saturday morning routine.
That's amazing.
And Backseat Driver was one of those songs that I have heard for so long, and I've said from the beginning, like, this is a hit, and then, the video came up with Kane, and my kids are singing that song because they've been hearing it at the listening room for so long. It's just
wild.
I love being able to hear those songs before they go somewhere.
It's so magical.
Yeah. But I think you touched on an important piece. I want to circle back to the reason I brought up the first show that you played. Your uniqueness. Like, when I first heard your voice, I was like, okay, that's something totally different and really special. And you don't sound like a lot of the other artists that you mentioned. And I think that's so key, and what's going to be hugely successful for you. But you mentioned it, and I want to dive into also part of your EP, On a Budget.
Yes.
And the fact that I think that's so cool that a lot of singer-songwriters in this town, especially if it's an EP, that they'll look at it and go, okay, I'm only putting out 4 or 5 songs, whatever it is. I feel very strongly that I need to be a writer on all of these songs, and you didn't do that. So I want to talk about On a Budget. Great song.
Thank you.
And the fact that you have that ability to listen to those outside songs and realize that it's a hit. So what was it about that song that you were like, okay, I got to cut this?
Yeah, so I did not even know who the writers were before I heard On a Budget. And it wasn't until I was cutting the song and I got the lyrics back and it said, Shane McNally, Jimmy Robbins, Kelsey Ballerini. I remember I called my mom and I said, Mom, I have my first Shane cut. I have my, this is crazy. Oh my gosh. Because I don't know if they didn't want to tell me because, Shane, anything that Shane writes is
you would have known.
No, I did not even know.
Wow.
And so the reason that whole song came about is we were having a pitch meeting and they played me On a Budget a while ago. And it had always been in my mind because I heard it and it instantly related to me because when I was younger, I was an online meme called Penny Nickel Dime.
Yep.
And it blew up. It wasn't even supposed to be, memes are never supposed to be memes. The internet just takes them and makes them a meme. And for me, I dealt with a lot of online hate for that. And just being in the industry, you're dealing with that. But because of the meme, it was an obnoxious amount of hate. And I've just, still to this day, still to this day, last weekend, a girl was like, is that the Penny Nickel Dime girl? And I'm like, this has been 6 years. This has been 6 or 5. I don't even know how long it's been. It's so long ago and we're still talking about this. But when I heard On a Budget, it was a clapback song to haters, to people that have nothing nice to say about you. And all the terms revolved around money. And for me, being a meme, dealing with online haters, wanting to always have a response to it, but not sure knowing what to say, and also the meme being surrounded about money, it felt almost coincidental and it felt like destiny. I was like, this is my song.
Yeah.
I need to cut this song. And so when I heard it and everything that it revolved around, it was so clever. It was so cleverly written. And of course, looking at the writers now, you're like, well, of course it was cleverly written. But I didn't know at the time. I just heard the song and I loved the song. And it was relatable to me and it was authentic to me. And I think that's the difference is, when you write a song yourself, of course, it's obviously going to be authentic. But finding outside songs that are going to be authentic is very hard. But for me, it was authentic and I didn't have to force it because everything that the song said was obviously, it's kind of the whole metaphor of if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yep.
But just the fact that I went through this growing up as a kid, dealing with a meme that surrounded, the whole thing was about money and clapping back to haters. And I've never really been one that has really had a hard time like clapping back to haters. I've always just been like, you know what, haters are lovers in disguise. It's okay. It is what it is. But I think hearing that song, it's like, oh, this is a clap back. And I'm like, I took the song and when I cut it, I said, I want to put my meme in here. I want to give back to my little self and I want to put the meme in here because everybody that's ever made fun of me for that meme, I'm going to give it back to them and I'm going to put the meme in the song.
I absolutely love that.
And I'm going to start with it. And I remember Chris and I, my producer, we were like, can we do this? And we're like, yeah, we're going to do this. And I called Marissa and I was like, hey, I want to put the meme at the beginning of the song. I want to start with it. And I'm so glad we did because it kind of, it told everybody that had ever hated on me for that. It's like, this is my clapback song and this is where we're going to end this and we're going to end it here. But it is so crazy to me that this song, I did not write it, but it has so much ties to me and just my life that it felt like destiny and coincidental for me to cut it. So it was just so weird. And then knowing the fact that Shane and Kelsey and Jimmy are on it is even more of a crazy blessing, but I didn't even know because that's just how much I wanted the song because it was so authentic to me.
Yeah.
Because it's authentic. And I don't think you have to write. I think, yes, writing a song is always going to be authentic, but sometimes there can be other songs that just are authentic to you that just come about, just like On a Budget did for me. I think it was always meant to be my song. And I think Shane and them will all say that because here it is.
And it is your song.
Yes.
Now. Yeah.
It is, but I will never claim, I'm not the artist that's going to claim that I wrote it. I will never do that. It's always going to give it to the credit that they wrote it because they did. I wasn't there. Yep. I just saw what their little vision was and thought, hey, I can put my big vision on it. And that's what I love that's just what I love about this town. It's like everything's about the song and the story. And there's such a beauty in that.
Yeah, there is. And when you can take an outside cut like that and identify it with it so much and feel the passion in it when you're singing, I mean, your crowd can feel that. And
1000%.
That's what I love. Even if it's a cover song that's been released yet, like, you know, like.
Look at Fast Car by Luke Combs.
Exactly, yes.
That is a huge example.
Yes.
Some people think that's his song because it is his song.
Yeah.
Now,
like what you create it and you make it your own. Yeah, it's just. So I love that story. And I had no idea. Like when I saw the credits on that, I was like, oh, okay, well, Smack artist. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I had no idea you didn't know that Shane wrote that.
I had no clue. I was freaking out. I was like, I have my first Shane song. This is crazy. I had no clue. But I don't know if that was purposeful by them or not. But either way, I'm glad I didn't know till the end because it was about the song at the end of the day.
We want to know, Shane, when you're listening to this, you need to tell us, was there any kind of thought behind that or not?
I know. Yeah. Was there like a strategy?
This episode is brought to you by Brit Skin Beauty. Located in the beautiful Indulgence Medi Spa in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Brittany is the go-to esthetician for facials, dermaplaning, microdermabrasion, waxing, lashes, and any skincare products and consultations. So many people in the music industry use her frequently, and her work speaks for itself. To schedule your next consultation or make an appointment, visit britskinbeauty.com or send an email to britskinbeauty@gmail.com.
What do you feel like you bring to the writers' rooms mostly? Are you, it sounds like you have a ton of great ideas and you're more lyric. Are you also, do you kind of feel the music too? Or like, what's your specialty?
Yeah, I would say I'm the type of artist that's going to come in the room and probably spit out 30 ideas to you and just hope one sticks. I like to use the analogy, I like a little pancake. I'm going to throw it on the door and we're going to hope it sticks. And one of them usually does, luckily. Yeah. I think as an artist, it's my responsibility to know what I want to say. I don't want to be the one that's coming into the room and being like, I don't know. We can figure it out. No, I want to know because they're not going to know if I'm not going to know.
Yeah.
Because if they're writing for me, how are they supposed to know? So I think for me, I always want to come in the room with the idea and some bass lyric. But at the end of the day, sometimes I'll come in. And I remember one time I brought this song to my producer, Chris, and I brought it in and I had pretty much already written it. He's like, Jenna, that song's already done. He's like, you already wrote that whole thing. We don't need to do anything to it. And I'm like, okay, you're right. But I think I always just want to come in with ideas and lyrics. Sometimes I'll come in with a melody. I'm a type of person that brings in the voice memos. I'm always voice memoing. Something's going to pop up. I'll be in my car. I'll be at the grocery store or some weird Walmart, and I'm just put the voice memo on, and I'll be like, this is what I have for a melody.
Like humming through the aisles, and people are looking at you, and you're like, that's okay. You're going to hear this on the radio. So,
it comes in at the most random times. You never know. You never, ever know. So I think that's what I come in with. I mean, sometimes I'll have a lot more in mind, but I really like to create with others and just bring in a base idea for us to kind of put our hands in and mess up and see what we can create.
So now with what you're doing with your artist career, when you go into a room, is that it? Like, you're writing for Jenna, or do you ever have those days where you go in and you're like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm good with my songs right now. Like, let's just write for somebody else.
I would say majority we are writing for me, but when we're not in the heat of like picking songs for a project, there has been several times where I'm like, you know what? Like, we could pitch this. Or there's a song that I wrote with a couple of a couple of writers, and we listened to it at the end of the day, and it was supposed to be for me. And we listened to it, and we're like, this isn't a Jenna song. This is somebody else's song. So I think there's moments like that, but I think right now, just because we've been in the heat of trying to figure out songs and pick things up, especially before Megan 2.0 kind of goes and I'm off doing press for that, we're in the heat of writing for me. But there's a really fun thing about writing for other people too, especially when you have somebody in mind.
Yeah. I think I love that you can go in and write for you, but then you also have that ability to go, you know what, like, this isn't right. And then feel good about pitching it. And you're obviously at a great place to be able to do that.
Yes, so, in a fantastic place. And it's wild too, because, songs never really get old. A good song never gets old. And I hope one day, maybe 15 years from now, there'll be a song that I wrote and maybe a new female country artist is going to be like, I want that one. And that's so cool. I mean, that's how it was for, even just for like the Kelsey cut, like for On a Budget, that was supposed to be her song. And she didn't end up using it because it wasn't her. Yeah. And then a little country artist a couple of years later, I'm like, hey, and I think that's the beauty about music is a good song is a good song. And it doesn't matter how old it is. Yeah. It could be 10 years old. It could be 15, 20 years old. And it's still a good song.
Yeah. I was just listening to somebody talking about doing this at one of the publishers here in town. I can't remember, but where they literally, like, the interns would go listen to all these songs that were written 15, 20 years ago and go through like all the archives and go, just have fun with it. Pick out a song that you think that resonates, and like, it's so cool to see some of those things like get tweaked a little bit and get up to modern times with the music. But lyrically, it's like, wow, this song was written that long ago and now we're going to make it a hit.
Isn't it wild? Yeah. It is so wild to me. And even just like with music from the 90s and the 80s, some of those songs you listen to and they're still being played now. Or like TikTok's bringing them back. So many kids, I mean, nowadays they're listening to songs that were from decades ago. And they don't even know. They don't even know that it was already a hit song. It's just resurfacing again because it's a good song.
Yeah. Love it. Well, let's talk about, you mentioned Megan 2.0. Yes. So let's talk about that and what else you've got going on. I know we can talk a little bit about Miss Wannabe.
Yes.
So what's new on the horizon for you?
Well, this summer is going to be really exciting. So Megan 2 comes out June 27th. And Smack said, we're going to throw in a little bit more sprinkles on your cake and drop your debut album on the same day. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm so excited to also be able to blend the two. I have a song on the project called Actor, and it's about one of my experiences kind of revolving around Megan and my first premiere and how it's changing from the second premiere. And it's about how I got broken up with during my first Megan. And during the biggest press week of my life, I was pretending that I was totally so cool and happy. And I was just really, really heartbroken. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that boy made me a better actor. And that's what the song is about. And it's really cool to be able to tie both of them in between together. So I'm really excited to be able to do that this summer. Because when you have a movie like Megan and you're getting to be able to do press, and it's a really cool way to throw in my music and also introduce so many other people to my music. Because with all these different stools, you know, and your different legs, some people may just know me from Megan. Some people may only know me from my music. Some people may know me from my YouTube channel, you know, and it's going to be really fun to be able to merge everything and mix it all together.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm really most excited for. And for also for people to hear like this new body of work, I think I'm pushing more country than I ever have before, which is really exciting. Obviously there's still going to be a little bit of pop elements, but I'm really leaning in and I'm very excited. My track Miss Wannabe is debuting this Friday, and it is probably the most like boot stomping country that I've done, and I'm very, very excited about it. I think it's been the most challenging for me vocally, and that was really fun because it's a belting song. Like I'm going for it. It's kind of giving like Carrie Underwood, good girl type of vibes and energy, which I love. And funny enough, it was written by Shane Stevens, and, you know, he did some of Carrie's early stuff, and he's just a fantastic writer. And the song is so special, and it is so sassy and feisty and fun. And I'm excited for people to hear that side. I'm excited for people to hear that side of my voice. I don't think vocally I've shown off my voice and its capabilities quite yet. And I think Miss Wannabe is definitely going to do that. And I'm very excited about it, to just show different sides of me and my voice. And I think that's what I'm excited about this summer, is to not only have a film out in theaters and enjoy that ride, but also tie my music alongside of it so then other people can kind of know about my music. Because I feel like right now I'm in this space where I'm new to Nashville. Like I am. Like, I mean, I've been here for a few years, but that's still new. Yeah. And I'm still integrating myself, and I'm still learning more, and I'm still getting people familiar with Jenna and what Jenna wants to say. And I think this summer, with especially the movie and hopefully the press, I'm going to be able to introduce a lot more people to who Jenna is and what my music is about. Meanwhile, being like, go watch my movie. Yeah. So I'm very excited. And I think it's just different sides, and it's going to be so fun. And I'm really grateful, but also amped up, because I think it's only just going to just hopefully go further from here, and I can start getting on the road and start performing some of these songs live. And
yes.
I think that's what I'm really, really excited about, especially for a song like Miss Wannabe that has so much sass. Like, there's nothing more than like walking around and strutting and dancing and singing and doing everything. But I think now we're just trying to ride out this Megan wave, enjoy it, and then I'm like, okay, let's get me on the road, because I think that's the hard part, is can't be at a premiere and can't do that all at the same time. So it's like, okay, we're gonna maneuver things around so then we can. Yeah. Gosh. You have a lot going on. Trying, like three-legged stool. That's what we're going for.
It's so crazy. I mean, you what are you gonna do for your 21st? You turn 21 in like a month or something.
So ironically, we're trying to figure that out. I was calling my PR team this morning, because I'm actually at Crypticon in Seattle we do a lot of horror conventions for Megan, and it's really cool. People are really passionate about the film, and it's so
I gotta
cool.
know more about that. Like, was this just like did Megan, is that just the role that like you got, or were you going down this path of like, I want to act in a horror film?
No. When I got the audition, I thought it was for a video game.
Okay.
I had no clue it was for a movie, nor did I have any idea that it would become what it become today. I had not watched any horror films. I was like the little girl who was scared of Disney Descendants when I was a kid. I was like terrified of anything. So when I was doing all the press for the first film, everybody was like, what's your favorite horror movie? I was like, Megan, that's all I'd watched. I literally had never watched anything horror films. I don't do anything demonic. I'm like, oh, that scares me. So Megan was like my first dip into horror. And now after that, I did a film called Lisa Frankenstein, and I'm getting pitched opportunities for horror all the time. And they're like, you're a scream queen. I'm like, I am. I was like, I don't think so. I don't know. I haven't even... I don't know. Now I've cultured myself, and I've watched a little bit more, because I felt bad. I was like, I can't only watch my movie in this genre. That's awful.
Yeah.
But at first, no, I never had any indication or even thought the idea of becoming a villain. I think I do audition for a lot of mean, snarky parts, because I'm like the little token blonde who looks innocent and who's going to be like just a terrible human, I'm going to be that mean girl or whatever. But a villain was never something I expected. But it's so fun. It's so fun. And I also got to do a film last summer where I got to play like a victim. So I was like, okay, I'm a villain. I've been murdered. We're fine. We're good. Like, I've gotten variety. But I think that's the fun thing about pursuing acting. And what I tell my acting team is I just want to keep diving into parts that are different. because they challenge me. Just how Miss Wannabe challenged me vocally from anything else I've ever done before.
Yeah.
It's like, let's get the challenge because that's what's going to separate me from others, but it's also going to get the highest reward and the highest, like, I don't know, like clapback is you get to do something different and fun and challenge yourself. And so, yeah, I just nobody expected Megan to take off the way that it did.
Yeah.
And not even Universal. I mean, I think they spent $11 million on the first film and it grossed $250 million. Like they had no clue. And now we're already on the second one and it was announced so fast in our Rotten Tomatoes score and everybody just fell in love with it. But as the person who was playing Megan, like I didn't know how people were going to react. She's an AI robot doll that kills people. Like how it could either have gone so south or it could have gone the way that it did. And I'm so glad it gone the way that it did because I didn't know how people were going to respond to my voice. I'm an AI robot person who's killing people. Like who's going to like that? Well, people did. Thank goodness, because she's so fun. And the movie is so well written. And I'm so happy that it was well received. But it was so nerve-wracking as the artist and the person who wasn't even, I mean, my face wasn't ever on the screen. Literally everything that I did was just coming out of my mouth. So how are people going to respond to that? That was scary. But I'm so happy they did. So, but to further answer your question, yeah, I'm going to a con. I've been doing so many of them. The passion for horror is insane. It's like Halloween Disneyland. It's so cool. Like you see people walking around, they are dressed up. They are so passionate. Everybody's running this way and running that way. I'm like, it's literally Disneyland. It's the best thing ever. It's so fun. And to meet people and people bring me posters that are only 20, I don't even know. Like some people bring me these posters and like, yeah, there's only 20 of these like in the whole world. I'm like,
wow,
that's astonishing. And they have dolls of her and there's now puppets and life-size Megans now. There's one that's like 5 feet tall. I think I would be scared to death, but I mean, I haven't seen her yet, but I think we're planning to like have me see her soon in person. I think I'm going to freak out. But it's so cool and it's so fun. So yeah, I'll be there a little bit first week of May. And then I know American Country Music Awards is also that time. And so my birthday's on the 5th. So I'm like, I don't even know. Everyone's like, where are you going to be? Big 21. I'm not a drinker. So I'm like, I'm probably going to be on a plane.
Yep.
But it's going to be great. And I'll probably stop for some Ben & Jerry's ice cream somewhere. And that'll be my night.
Sounds like an amazing birthday.
That'll be my birthday.
Yeah.
But it's so fun. And I think this summer is going to be really fun. And I think that's what I'm really looking forward to at the end of the day is just hoping people respond well to the sequel because sequels are more nerve-wracking than the first one now because people have already liked the first one. So how are people going to like the second one? That's nerve-wracking. But everything that people have said from the trailer and just the writing of the second one, like I have full belief and faith in it, but I hope everybody else loves it as much as they loved the first one.
I think the second one and Miss Wannabe are going to be amazing. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's the goal.
That's right. That's right. Well, gosh, thank you so much for sitting down with me. It's just been awesome to get to know you a little bit more and hear about everything that's going on. I love to get advice. So I want to circle back and I'm going to ask you a question like I do every episode. And I know you listen to the podcast, so you know what's coming. But before we even get there, for everybody that's listening, like up and coming songwriters, artists, what kind of advice would you give them? Just everything that you've done since 10 years old in the entertainment industry, what would that be?
I would say for a songwriter, write everything down. Even if you think it's the stupidest thought in the world, write it down. Because you never know when you're going to circle back to it. When I wrote down psych or FBI, those are the weirdest things that you could ever think of. But they turned into something that I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
And write down anything. You could be anywhere. It could be literally gum on my shoe. Write it down. It doesn't matter. Because one day it might spur into something that you didn't even know could be a song or a piece of work. I think when it comes to acting, don't let no or rejection, like don't take it personally because nothing's personal, especially in the acting industry. If it's your part, it's going to be your part at the end of the day. And if you keep working for it and you keep training and you keep learning and you keep absorbing and observing, it's only due time. But I also say in acting, if you get yourself other hobbies, same with music, make sure that you are fulfilling other parts of your life with other things so that your career doesn't become the thing that's draining. Your career should only be the thing that's making you just like fueling you and giving you so much passion. I think when people, lose hope for the industry, it's because they're losing the passion, they're losing the reason that they even started. And it's because they're putting too much pressure on themselves and their craft, when literally everything just takes time, and you just have to grow and learn with it and just move with it and understand that it's not just going to be like this. It's going to be like this until you get to this. And then even when you get to this, you're going to fall down sometimes. It's just the way of the world, and the way of our industry is it's just so unpredictable. But I think that's what makes it so exciting. And I always say, surround yourself with the best people. Make music and create with people who you love and who you love working with. You're only going to create the best product and the best piece of work if you're doing it with people that you love and they love you, because they're going to know you the best. I think that's like the biggest advice I could give, is just like surround yourself with people that really feel you, and don't take no as an answer. Because if I would have taken no as an answer, I would not be here. Like, I would not have ever... I mean, even just the first time just being with Smack, you know, their first answer was, I'm sorry, we can't take you right now because we're working on Walker. If I would have let that stop me, I would have never been their flagship artist. I was like, no, you know what? We're going to keep grinding, and I'm going to keep learning until they're ready. Until they were. You know, it's just time, and it's just growth.
See, there it is again. That little bit of knowledge that a 20-year-old should not have, but does. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, last question. Always end with this. If you can go back to 8-year-old you, what advice would you give yourself today?
I would say...
You're 2 years away from getting into acting.
I would just say you're going to be really proud of yourself. Enjoy, have fun. But also, when you get out to LA, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And you don't have to be in middle school. You don't have to be friends with all the girls on set. You don't have to feel like you are weird for wanting to stay home and write a song instead of go to a party. You're not weird for that. Like, that's just you. And you're going to find your people, and everything that's supposed to happen is going to. It's just time.
I love that.
Just enjoy it. Just take every day. I always have this phrase that says DBD, day by day.
Love it.
That's my phrase to my 8-year-old self, even though she'd probably be running around eating ice cream and riding on a bicycle. But
yeah,
for later years.
Yes. Jenna, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been a blast.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun.
Can't wait to just continue to watch your career flourish. I know it's going to happen.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody out there listening. This has been another episode of Stories Behind the Songs. I'm Chris Blair. You've been listening to Jenna Davis, and make sure you check out the liner notes. We will put links to all of her socials and everything in there. And just keep watching her career, and make sure that you go support the movie and the album and the music and everything, because we just can't wait to watch her grow.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. Make sure to give us a follow on Spotify if you enjoyed this episode, and make sure you click that notification button so you can keep notified when new episodes come out. We release brand new episodes every Tuesday, and you can find us on YouTube at Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to send us a comment letting us know what you thought of the episodes. We love getting your feedback, and share this with your friends. The more we grow, the more that we can keep doing this. It's our mission to bring you all of these great stories behind the songs from some of Nashville's most iconic artists and songwriters, publishers, producers, everyone in between, and a lot of my great friends. We love what we do, and we love sharing their stories with you. We appreciate all of the continued support. Thanks also to all of our sponsors, and we will see you all next week.